Hey guys, well, behind the scenes, this is the third attempt to do it. Every time I've done it and I go through, it takes about 15 minutes, and there's no there's no recording at the end of it. So hopefully keep this one a bit shorter, and hopefully it's going to work. So I'm getting bored of doing it. Okay, one of the guys asked Australian timbers. Can I explain some of the Australian timbers that are available? Okay, I've got a limited sort of supply of Australian timbers. I don't have all the Australian timbers that are available. I do have a bit more underneath all my stuff, which I haven't taken out and cut in samples. But I did cut some samples the other day just to show you guys what some of the Australian timbers are. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera out of the stand. Oopsie. Okay, I'll turn it around. Now, first of all, this is some red gum. This is a red gum burl. Beautiful timber, very hard, very dense, lovely rich colour. This is beautiful and smooth. And here it is as sort of rough as sawn. Stands up really nice, as you can see. Makes a beautiful haul. I'm making a haul table out of this one. This one goes onto this particular frame, which is actually upside down. And this is out of Jarrah, and that's out of red gum. So Jarrah and red gum can be very similar. Now, moving on to some of the other timbers. This is a timber called Grey Box. And as you can see, it's a beautiful timber. It's roughly sanded. I just quickly did it. This has a beautiful figure through it, some almost like metallic sort of sheening, as you can sort of see with that grain. Beautiful for making feature areas and all that. Quite expensive timber. Most of all the timbers I use are all recycled timbers, which have been reclaimed or that from either old stock or from factories or bridges or whatever. So it's beautiful to work with. It's lovely and dense. And when I cut this, it was like a mirror till I sort of roughly sanded it. This here's ironbark or messmate. So you've got these lovely colours going through it and all this lovely dark, whoops, kept flaring in the light. You're getting all this lovely sort of black staining throughout the timber and these gum veins, which are natural to the timber, and sort of wormholes and that. It's a little bit sticky from last night. I oiled them, but they haven't dried really that well. This is Jarrah. This is some old Jarrah, which I managed to get just as a matter of yesterday. I've got a few planks of it. And this comes in various colours. This is some lovely, rich, dark colour. Beautiful to work with, very dense. They used to make, this is from Western Australia. They used to make timber house frames out of it because it was regarded as termite proof because it's so dense. Obviously the termites like to eat easy stuff. This is spotted gum, very dense timber. It possesses a lot of waxy finish to it. When you cut it, it's quite waxy. It's very nice to work with. This is spotted gum, which has got a beautiful cranky sort of grain, very much metallic look to it all, as you can sort of possibly see in the camera. It's amazing. It's like a tiger stripe through it. So they're both the spotted gum species. This is used a lot for exterior work because of the waxiness of the timber. Jarrah also is great for exterior work too, because it is also a exterior quality timber. In fact, they used to make paddle steamers out of it up on the Murray River, which is a main sort of river through Australia. Over here is this is another Australian timber, obviously called Wandoo, and it's an old recycled timber. And as you can see, you get these beautiful weathered cracks through that timber because it's been out in some form of a how can I say, rafters or that. Now over here, this is not Australian timber, but that's walnut. It's a beautiful colour. Over here is blackwood. Blackwood has different figure. This is blackwood not been oiled, and this is blackwood which has been roughly oiled with the first coat. Blackwood is a Australian timber. It's this one's quite light. You know, this is a heavy timber as well. This is a heavy timber. It's very sort of solid in feel. Then we come over to this unique timber, and this is called hydrowood sassafras. So this is sassafras, the species, and this is hydrowood. Look at this. I mean, look at these amazing colours in this timber. This is incredible. This is harvested from the bottom of dams, where in Tasmania, where they filled up some forests. They dammed off some areas and they filled up with water for their hydro scheme. And somebody had an idea of harvesting the timber forests that were still under the water, and when they harvested them and pulled them up and machined them, and this is what they got. So this is absolutely an exquisite timber, handled by a company down here called Wheel and the Wreckers, because they do a lot of salvage work. Now, you get a lot of difference and variances between. Now, this is red gum before it's been cleaned up, the slab. This is showing the variances of colour. That's both of these are Jarrah. This is an older Jarrah. This is an older Jarrah, but Jarrah changes, well, not changes colour, but has different colours. Now I'll flick through over here into my little sort of wood area, and here's some I bought the other day. Now this is just this is Jarrah. Both of those are Jarrah. So that shows you the colours variances between what you can get in Jarrah. And this again is another sort of Jarrah, which has got like a sort of fiddleback to it, which will come up very nice when it's been, it has a bit of a metallic finish to it. This is a stick of, a nice stick of spotted gum, which you can't really see properly with the grain, but the grain will come up fabulous on that. And over here, this shows you a lot what we work with, which is Australian hardwood, which is called Vic Ash. It's kind of like the American oak. You get these lovely pinks, the pinks and blondes. See, there's a bit pink on the end. So you get this lovely. We use this a lot for flooring, great for furniture making. This is sort of some more older Vic Ash. This is more newer plantation Vic Ash, because they're starting to grow it now as a plantation, but it's a slow growing tree at the same time. Again, this is a little box drawer I've made, Vic Ash. This is the end grain of Vic Ash. So you get the variances in the colour, of course. See, they're the two. Both of those are Vic Ash, and yet look at the variance of the colour. So you do get a fair bit of variances from those. I guess that's probably about all I can show you at the moment. Oh, there's one more thing. Here's a stick of wood, which you see sort of stained. It was reasonably priced. It was $15, but it was a bit longer than this, so it was a pretty good bargain. You see all this lovely natural sort of colours. Well, this is some messmate. See, this is some holes, nail holes where it's got staining. This is what they call chook shed messmate. And chook shed messmate is from the old rafters and that in chook sheds. Now, for you guys in America and Europe, a chook is a chicken. In Australian terms, we call them chooks. I don't know whether you call them chooks over there. Probably not. we have our funny ways of naming things. But this comes up really lovely as well if you want that sort of more of a rustic look to it all. But again, it is a messmate, which is another form of Australian eucalyptus tree. Okie dokie, now I'll put this back in the frame and see if I can get this one to work next time. See if I can get that up there. Oh, it's a bit hard. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's a little bit on some Australian timbers. They're beautiful to work with. They're hard to work with. They're hard on your equipment. They're hard on your tools. Festool, I think, developed timber, their tools to cut pine. And they do a great job of it, but your blades get knocked around a bit using these very, very hard timbers. And like sometimes cutting through it, even with a Capex saw and some fabulous blades, I've got to do a succession of cuts to get through some of them. Sometimes, 4 or 5 cuts, because this stuff is so dense. When you've got something which is dense as this, I mean, this is really, really dense timber, and it's quite amazing that the blade cuts through that in reality. So anyway, guys, I'll I'll end it now, and I hope that might have helped a little bit. And you see some of the stuff that I've made. I tend to, well, I generally use mainly Australian timbers in what I do because it's mainly recycled. Thanks for tuning in, and if I can find some more timbers, and I can do another little feature on it on another day. Okay, see you guys. Cheers.